Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Carmen Bryant, your host of Redefining Yourself. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I apologize. I was unable to post a video yesterday. My schedule was very hectic. I had to get out of the office, and I wanted to make sure I gave you some quality information, so I didn't want to rush through the video. And so I'm coming in today. Hopefully, you guys are there to see the video. And Redefining Yourself is a program that I developed for women in mind that have been in or are in or thinking of leaving or needing more information or have left and are recovering from domestic violent relationships. Specifically, the topic that I focus on is narcissist. That's the type of abuse that I focus on is narcissist abuse. I know I had a gentleman, Mr. Neil, who also asked a question. One of the subscribers asked a question, why just women? I do not close my doors to men that need assistance. I'm also a clinician, so I do see men and women alike in my clinic, in my setting, in the private practice that I have. But I do focus on, and it's not that I just focus on females, because men go through, and I say it all the time, men go through the abuse just like women go through the abuse. You know, I had Mr. RN, who is one of the subscribers on here, said that he was a 6'7" man, and I guess the lady that he was married to or dating, I'm not sure, is very small. And so most men, you know, are not going to admit that they're going through domestic violence. And I also believe, you know, according to reading articles, you know, I know that domestic violence and narcissist abuse is very underreported when it comes to the male population. So it's not that I do not service or provide services for men that need assistance, because I do have some awesome gentlemen that I do provide services with in my office. It's just that I have a passion for, you know, everybody needs their niche. And so I do focus because I have a passion for helping women that are coming out of domestic violence. Long before I started talking about narcissist abuse, I was an advocate. I had been advocating for women, and I do have a friend that is a domestic violent advocate who I do come and support and come do speaking engagements from time to time in support of the women that are in the shelters and in the YWCA programs. And so I just have a passion of empowering women and helping women. And so Mr. Neil, especially to the gentlemen that do follow me and subscribe to my channel, by no means do I ever discard or not value your opinions, nor will not provide assistance if you so ask for that assistance. I just noticed that a lot of women will come out and talk about it quicker than men will, and I have that capacity and the ability to empower women. I am a businesswoman myself. I'm a mother, a grandmother, and so I know what it's like to be a woman, and you know, and so I don't know what it's like to be a man. However, as a clinician, as a coach, you know, the abuse is very similar across the boards. However, I do identify with women that want to be empowered, that need to be empowered, that need to be encouraged, and sometimes you need a strong woman to help a woman to feel empowered, to feel beautiful, to feel like a businesswoman, to feel like a mother again, you know, to feel. So it's really my passion. So Mr. Neil, hopefully that answered your question. I do not leave out men. I do not leave out men. I just kind of encourage the women and look at, you know, look to support the women a little bit more, maybe. I don't know if that's the right term. I don't want to offend anyone, but my passion is a lot toward the women. But I do, once again, say always on these videos that men go through the exact same thing that women do. It's just that men don't speak about it as much as women do. And for all the kings that have joined me on this channel, thank you so much for sharing with me, sharing your stories, and supporting the ladies that are on here as well, letting them see that, first of all, they're not alone, and number two, that men go through it as well. And that is really an honor that you guys would trust me and then also share those stories with us. And so for those of you that are new to my YouTube channel, thank you so much for joining me. You guys make it worth my while with the questions and the emails that you send me. I did have an email come through, and a young lady said that it was okay for me to talk about her story. I have to go back and open my email to look at it, but I didn't get a chance to open it up, and so I do not recall what the name was on here, so please forgive me. And then the sensitivity of the story, kind of, if you want to mention something on the video, you are welcome to do that, but the sensitivity and the nature of the conversation. But she did want me to share with you all. There's two videos I did, and I did let her know that I had made videos on that where it talked about the narcissist and their children and sexual abuse. And once again, I told you guys, if you go back and watch at children, narcissists and their children, I talked about the sexual abuse. I talked about the fact, to be very careful, be very wary or cognizant that not all narcissists, but narcissists will abuse their children. They look at them as an extension of themselves, and to have sex with their own kids is like to have sex with themselves. Look for the telltale signs, withdrawals, wetting the bed, all of a sudden sexually, where they're sexually more mature than they were before. They know certain language. You may watch their behaviors. They become very withdrawn or angry. Pay attention to that. Go to your local sexual assault centers. Go talk to a therapist, a counselor. But she did share the story that the narcissist that she was with sexually abused or sexually molested her children, and she did press charges, and he has life in prison. And what I told her was, first of all, I applaud her because a lot of people coming out of those situations are afraid, and they're still afraid of the narcissist. And the narcissist will do a lot of things to intimidate you to keep you from going to court. Then when you go to court, they'll do everything that they possibly can to smear your name and to make you look like the problem instead of being the victim, basically. They'll smear your name, they'll intimidate you, and so I do want to applaud you, Queen, for standing up and making sure that justice was served and the offender got life in prison for molesting her children. And thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you so much for allowing me to share that with the viewers. I do have the 2 videos that I did refer her to. Please comment, and encourage her. I applaud you, Queen. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for standing up and making a mark in the judicial system. And we need to do this because this is it's really horrible. It is really a horrible crime to humanity, to people in general, and this is a type of abuse that when people say you just have to learn to get over it and learn to heal, this is a very different type of abuse. And so those people that have never been through it before, it's hard to tell someone what they should do and how they should do it if you never experienced it yourself. And so I commend each and every one of you that are survivors, that are fresh out of the relationship, first year, few months, few weeks, it doesn't matter. You still have accomplished something. Stay no contact. If you have children, bare minimum, only about the children. They'll try to hook you back into a conversation. They try to hook you back in, small talk. Don't do it. Stand your ground. And if you notice something very awkward with your children, make sure you go seek professional help. Go talk to someone about it to catch it before it goes too far or before they actually do something. And so I commend each and every one of you. Today I just wanted to talk about the energy. I haven't really given a title yet because I was doing some research, and a lot of you talk about how angry you are, they hoover you, how do they know this, what do they sense, but I wanted to talk about this energy they feel from you. Everything to them is fuel, so whether you give them negative or positive fuel, it doesn't matter whether they can get you angry and you spew out profanities, or you're angry, there's an energy behind that. And I wanted to talk about bonding and connections and how they bond and connect with you, especially dealing with energy, the energy in your body and the energy that you emit. And so I went to the Medicine Journal, and on the Medicine Journal, let's see, how human bodies create electricity, if you ever want to go back and read. And this article is written by, this is Scott, so let me see who the author is. It doesn't say who the author is, but it was written about 5 years ago. It's in the Medicine Journal. And it talks about how your body creates energy. And I wanted to skip down to, let's see. Let's look. It talks about, how we fuel our bodies with food, and how the body breaks down, nutrients to fuel the body and create energy. And it talked about here, it said electrolytes crossing cell membranes creates electrical discharges. is only one of the countless ways the body uses food we eat to create energy and power to do work. So your body creates energy at all times. You know, you can get close to someone and you can almost feel their energy. You know, you can tell when someone is so angry and enraged. You can literally feel that energy. You like, oh, this person, you know, you don't know what to say. Or like, say a couple is arguing and then they stop arguing, you come around, you can almost feel that tension in the air. You can feel it when they come in, that tension, that like, ooh, this is some negative energy. Or you shake someone's hand, you can almost feel that energy, like, oh, you're creepy, you know. Or someone hugs you and you're like, that was a very uncomfortable touch, or uncomfortable that, you know, that, oh, I don't, you know. And be careful, you know, with your children. Use your children, not use your children, but listen to your children if they don't want to be around someone or get close to someone or want someone to touch them or hug them. Ladies or gentlemen, stop giving everybody your kids. And when they cry and they're uncomfortable, listen to them, because they know, they can sense that energy, you know, that you know, when a person is happy, you know, a person that laughs all the time is like that, you know, you can't help but, you know, brighten up, you know, because that person is just a happy-go-lucky person with all this positive energy, and they laugh all the time. They make you feel good. Hey, girl, like your hair. Oh, excuse me, I like your hair. Girl, you looking good. Hey, big brother. Hey, you know, hey, guy, you know, whatever. But they have that positive energy, that energy that just gives you some energy. So, you know, man, that was a great conversation with that person. It just made me feel good for the day. You know, I got some positive energy. So you emit energy at all times. A narcissist knows that, because a narcissist feeds off of that fuel, off of that energy, and that's how they monitor you, by that energy. That's why a lot of times they go no contact, or if they have new supply, they always come back and hoover you to see where that energy is. And so a lot of you, like, when they come around, you almost get tense, that anxious energy. They sense that anxious energy. They know, yep, you're still reacting to me, you know. So I come around, if I say something, the tone in my voice, the, you know, what I project, you know, and you respond to it, just, you know, and the way that you respond is that energy and that tone and that frequency, and they pick up on that, so they know. But when you flat and you really have no contact, no emotions, or you've gray rocked, you know, there's no emotion that goes along with it, they're confused. They're like, I don't sense that energy that they used to have. Like, when I used to come around, she used to, or he used to do this, or this is how they used to respond. I don't sense that anymore. I don't feel that energy anymore. And so they'll do things like poke the bear, or say things to you, or maybe humiliate you, or, you know, something to get you to react, and you won't react. And it's almost what do the young people say? Bye, boy. Boo, bye. Or bye, boy. You know, but when you really have learned to heal and shut that off, when they come around, they're like, okay, I don't sense anything, like poking the bear and looking for this. And so I wanted to go in with this as well. Let's talk about the bonds, like, you know, a mother and child bond. You know, you just know when they're in the house doing something, like, first of all, it's too quiet, or something's not right with my kid, or I'm sensing something. Let me call my child. I got a funny feeling, you know, I just got a funny feeling. Let me check on my kid. Something's not right. And they're like, oh my gosh, mom, or oh my gosh, dad, you called right at the right time. I was just thinking this. I was just thinking about you. You know, that law of attraction. You know, I was just thinking about you, you know, and all this energy is building up in your mind, and you're thinking about this person, and this person might be thinking about you, or they pop up in your head, and you're like, man, I haven't thought about this person like 20, 30 years. It's because, you know, you're thinking of that person in it, and there might be still a connection there. There may have not been any closure, you know, but, you know, just like parents with a child, you know, something's not right. Let me check on my child. Something's not right. Or they come and you look at them like, something's not right. I don't know what it is, but I can sense that. Or a husband and a wife team, you know, or a partner and partner team. You know, you're asleep and then you sit up like, something's not right. Something's going on. Something is not right. Something is not right. You know, I can feel it. I can sense it. I can't put my finger on it. Or they come around and you're looking at them and you can almost sense like something's not right. Something about your energy, something is not right about you. So you can pick up on that. What about like the bond between a twin? You know, they talk about that in studies about this close, almost, what do they call it? Let me look. It says almost like telekinesis, but it's almost this fascinating bond that they've been studying between twins, where they know they know they can end each other's sentences. They can look at their facial expressions, and certain things happen. They can look at the facial expression. They can almost sense the other twin. They talked about how one twin may be hurting, and the other person and the other twin may feel that pain. One goes in labor, and the other one feels it. One has a headache, and they're across town, or twins that have never met before, and they just sense something, but they talk about this almost supernatural bond that twins have between each other. Then this one is, this is the one I wanted to talk about. Let me find it. This is the one I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to put it all together. In Site Central, there is an article written by the Associate News Editor, Tracy Pedersen, and it talks about eye contact. Eye contact synchronizes brain activity between two people. Now, this right here will give you a different perspective of when that narcissist is gazing so lovingly in your eyes, that it serves more than just a gaze of love to connect with you or to hypnotize you, but it also serves to synchronize them with your frequency and brain activity. And so what she said here is prolonged eye contact synchronizes brain activity between two people. According to a new study at National Institute of Physiological Science, which is NIPS, this synchronicity is crucial in establishing and facilitating our face-to-face social interactions. Eye contact is fundamental in most person interactions. In most cultures, we're taught from a young age to maintain eye contact when we speak to another person. In fact, not making eye contact can be considered impolite and can even risk losing the other party's attention. But in some cultures, staring in a person's eyes while talking to them is a form of aggression. It shows a form of aggression, or shaking the hand too tightly. Now see, the mechanism of visual attention through eye contact between two people, or mutual gaze, and toward a third person or an object, joint attention, have been extensively studied. However, what is actually going on in the brain during this time has remained unclear. And so they did a research. The researchers got together 96 volunteers, and they did 3 sets of experiments. It was like it was in a 2-day period. And what they did was they paired participants, paired off participants in with different partners, and instructed them to hold each other's gaze under various conditions. The researchers used functional magnetic resonance imaging to monitor the brain activity that took place during the eye gaze. What they said was we expected the eye blink synchronization to be a sign of shared attention when performing a task requiring joint attention, and shared attention would be retained as social memories. And so what they said is that they also hypothesized that the right inferior frontal gyrus in the brain would be activated by both the initiator and the respondent to gaze. So indeed, they found that what they detected that showed that the brain began to synchronize through stare was that the eye blinks became synchronized, as well as great inner brain synchronization in the IFG. And both participants, when eye contact was established, they started synchronizing. Their blinks started synchronizing. Compared with findings from previous studies, these outcomes show that the synchronization of eye blinks is not attributable to a common activity, but rather to a mutual gaze. So let's see. The researchers, let me see. Make sure I give you everything. So based on enhancement of behavior and neural synchronization during mutual gaze, we now know that shared attention is hard to establish without eye contact. So I wanted to say this. A narcissist that stares lovingly in your eyes, or stares at you all the time, or tries to get that eye contact with you, it's almost like a science fiction movie. What they're trying to do is synchronize with your brain. They're trying to synchronize with you. They're trying to see where you're at, where's your attention, and what you'll notice is now I want you to pay attention to this when you and another person are gazing in your eyes when you guys are blinking at the same time. That lets you know that they have synchronized your brain activities. They have synchronized with that eye gaze. They have synchronized. Now think about the bonding of the twins, picking up on that energy. They're picking up on the energy. How do you respond? I give you another example, lie detector test. if you ever notice, they ask you two questions. They're going to ask you, first of all, what your name is, where do you live, your address and everything. And then they look at the needle to see a baseline of, when you're telling the truth and telling facts. Then they're going to ask you a question that requires you to answer correctly, the truth. And they'll look and see where the baseline is for that, and then they'll ask you to answer a question falsely, and then they'll gauge to see where that is at. A narcissist does the same thing with you. It's not that they're looking to see whether you're lying or not, but what they're doing is they're synchronizing or trying to see your energy levels when they do certain things, even when they devalue, when they say something to see how you respond, but they bond with you. It's like they mesh with you like this. And now they can pick up on your energy when you're angry, when you're happy, when you're tired, they pick up on your energy. So even long after they have discarded you, that's why I say you have to heal. You have to demagnetize yourself. No contact. The no contact puts enough distance and time between you guys to almost desynchronize. It puts enough time and space between you guys, so it's almost like a descrambler, do I want to say, where it like descrambles the code and it like unsynchronizes you guys and like detaches you guys. But enough distance and time and no contact, they can't hear your voice, they don't see your growth. You're going to grow. You're going to learn. The more you learn, the more distant you two become. So everything they work so hard into meshing with you, now that no contact and that time and space between you guys is unsynchronizing you, if that is appropriate, if that word is appropriate, unsynchronizing you, is like detaching you guys, where they can't pick up on your energy like they used to be able to pick up on. And as you're learning these new tools of responding and not reacting, not gray rocking, as you're learning these new tools, every time they hoover, and you can use it as a test. They hoover, they check in to see where you're at. Okay, you failed the test. They're going to do it again. They hoover, they check in, they see how you're going to respond. Eventually, there's nothing there. When you go no contact, it means no contact in your mind. It means no contact in your responses or your reactions. So eventually, it's like the code has been scrambled. And so they can't connect, they can't find you. It's almost like they're feeling around, I can't feel the energy. I don't feel anything from you, but they work very hard to feel something from you. And so I just wanted to bring that to you to give you an idea that when you still feel them when you're angry, when you're hurting, and they can hear it in your voice, when you're searching their social media, because they come out, they're arrogant. Remember, they're arrogant. They have that grandiose thinking. Everybody loves them. And so when they no contact, or when they go no contact with you, or they discard you, and then you don't hear from them, is because they're letting you work up those emotions and all that energy. And what they'll do is they'll tap in to see where you are. Like, yep, just where I thought you were. I know you're going to go crazy. I know how you think. I know how you respond. I know how you respond when this happened. I know, because they've tested you throughout the relationship. They always test you to see, devalue and pull back. Devalue is like that sadistic form of sexual activity where they choke you to sleep, and it gives them some type of sexual pleasure, and that's like with serial killers and psychopaths and sociopaths. They get a thrill, they get fuel out of that. And so we have to demagnetize ourselves to keep a narcissist from feeling that energy. That's why it's so relative. No contact, space and distance, time and distance, and healing will keep them from being able to tap into that energy, to be able to sense that energy on you, to be able to read your facial expressions. And the crazy thing about a narcissist is they never think you're going to change, because they never change. They may morph for someone else. I think someone used that terminology. We were talking about that. They morphed into something that they've never seen before. They morphed into this monster, that they've never seen before. This is totally not the person that you've ever dated in your life. They've connected with a new source of supply, and all of a sudden they've morphed into their lifestyle. But remember, we talked about it. They synchronized themselves. They watched. They mimic. They repeat, they parrot, so they create that lifestyle that's similar to yours, and they mirror you. So they have morphed into the new supply. So now their interests are the same. The people that they connect with are the same. And so you don't recognize them, but they'll always tap to see where you are. Tap in to see where you are, whether I can still trigger you, and that's why it's very relative to learn how to heal, disconnect, no contact, and demagnetize yourself from that type of abuse. And hopefully this has helped you guys today. So remember, when they're staring in your eyes, you know, oh, I just saw stars. You didn't see stars, you saw electricity. You know, oh my gosh, I looked in his eyes or her eyes, and it was like heaven. That wasn't heaven. You're about to go through pure hell dealing with a narcissist. And I want you to know that. I want you to remember that. I'm just teaching you the tactics. I want you to know what's going on, and it makes you more sensitive and more aware of the tools and the games that they play. The tools, I'm exposing the tools. I want you to know the tools that they use and how they do what they do. So now you're more sensitive, and now you're more cognizant, and now you're more aware. It makes you more powerful. So thank you guys. It's not a long video, but I wanted to make up to you guys. I wanted to make sure I posted a little early in between my break between clients. And I thank you guys for tuning in. If you have not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is Dr. Carmen Bryant, Redefining Yourself. Okay, that is the name of the program, but the topic of the program is Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. And so look for Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell so you know whenever I upload new videos and whenever I come on live, which is usually on Sundays between 8 and 9 o'clock Pacific time, which is on the West Coast. For all of you people around the country, thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you for telling me where you're at. I have Australia, I have UK, I have Brazil, I have Germany, we have Nova Scotia, we have Ottawa. We have, where else do we have? Korea, we have Mali, where else is there? I said some of them, so I'm gonna go Australia, Mexico. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I am so honored. Indonesia, thank you guys so much for joining me. It is such an honor and a pleasure to do these videos for you guys. Continue to send me the emails. Continue to send me the comments. As you know, sometimes I can't get to them as fast as I want to, and there's a lot of them. I have a lot of mail. I have a lot of clientele that I talk to, and so sometimes I can't reach out. I can't respond as quickly as a lot of emails that are in there. I can't respond to everybody like I wanted to at one point in time. And our group, our support group, our tribe is growing. And so I welcome all new subscribers. Thank you so much for following me. Thank you for finding something relevant that I have to say that's going to help you in your process. And remember, I'm not the only one out there. You have Quinn Holiday from Associates Direct. You have Angie Atkinson. You have Melanie Tonya Evans. You have Sarah Speaks. You have Little Shaman. You have all these wonderful people. I'm trying to think who else is on there. Let me go look at mine. Let me see who I have on here. Some people that I may have missed. Kim Saeed, I think I said that. Who else do I have? There's a lot of excellent people on here that really talk about narcissist abuse and recovering from narcissist abuse. There are people on here that are actually narcissists and not narcissist survivors or coaches. And so I want you guys to be very careful with the stories that you post, the things that you talk about. If it's personal information or private information that you want me to have, email me. Don't post it on the World Wide Web. The whole country, the whole globe is going to see what you write. And I want you guys to be very careful because narcissists who are predators also prey on YouTube, on Facebook. You know, they prey on social media, on dating sites, you know, and this is their pond or their ocean to fish and look for new supply and new fuel. Also, I do have a professional Facebook page, which is Psychological Health Consultants and Services. Please, you know, hit the thumbs up, and I post on both of them. Thank you guys once again so much for following me. Thank you guys for your support. And you guys, as my friend always says, go and be great.